Hi, my name is Tisiwa Nyeleti. I am an indigenous healer with Istunya Setlozi through my bloodline, and I channel guided messages for the collective's growth and healing. Today we have a full moon in Sagittarius, and so in this episode I will be breaking down the collective energy, what's kind of being prompted from this full moon, and also just focusing a bit on certain themes that are surrounding certain specific signs during this time. So on the 11th of June 2025, the moon is now full in the constellation of Sagittarius. Up until this point, it is highly possible that a lot of people's dreams have been all over the place, very vivid, yet very confusing. When the full moon in Sagittarius was approaching, it was very much amplifying, and still is right now, cutting through illusions. Illusions in the sense of kind of what have I been avoiding within myself. A lot of that like shadow integration, or lack thereof really. It's kind of been highlighting like where have I been allowing my power to be drained, because Sagittarius is also very, very big within expression, and it's been, well, with this specific full moon, it's just highlighting just freedom in expression. So any odd yet symbolic dreams have just been showcasing where that has been cut off, like where that freedom and expression has been cut off, and which area of life specifically, and where you've been particularly feeling the need to shrink over the past 6 months. It really feels like it's putting everything into focus more than ever, and it's like it's coming with a shift, especially because May was full of like a lot of mental traps, a lot of like hindrances. Like collectively, it was just a lot of hindrances, even if it was like physical ones, but it was just like a common experience of having like mental traps in between and feeling very much in like misalignment. And so as the moon goes full in Sagittarius, Jupiter, Sagittarius's ruling planet, is now in Cancer in its exaltation. And what that means is Jupiter, the planet of luck, optimism, abundance, growth, expansion, is now working at its most powerful expression. So those elements of Sagittarius are just amplified even more, especially with the freedom and expression and freedom and expansion really, and just, I guess, needing to stay rooted in your authenticity, and through that, just knowing that you are divinely guided. So as Jupiter went into Cancer 2 days ago on the 9th of June 2025, and the moon is now full in the sign that it rules, what is heavily being prompted is releasing fear of your expansion, releasing that fear of your potential, releasing that fear of the heights that you could achieve. The collective energy within this year has been so big on ambition and like desire and dreams and goals and aspirations, and tying those loose ends and finally doing what you actually want to do, finally becoming who you want to become, or at least like setting the foundation for that. And so this full moon and this transit, this Jupiter transit, is just like paving the way for that. It's just like pushing that energy a lot more, despite what came about from the last full moon up until now. I think coming towards this full moon, it's been very clear that what you see for yourself is yours. That seed that was planted was never ever a mistake. And this isn't necessarily huge things, it's just bits and pieces that you've been putting together for yourself to make sense of yourself, to make sense of what you want. It's obviously different for everyone, but there is a sense of expansion that is coming out of this year as a whole. This full moon is just putting you back on track. especially because of how things have been so heavy and like dense over the past few weeks, like energetically. And so again, it comes to that question that I mentioned earlier of where do I feel like I'm shrinking myself? Jupiter being in Cancer is just such a special transit, not only because it's exaltation, but also because it's heavily amplifying where you see yourself in the world and where you see your abundance lies. Where you have your Jupiter in your astrology birth chart will show you where that is, but it'll also start to make more and more sense over the course of the next year as Jupiter goes out of Cancer on around the 30th of June 2026. With that being said though, the energy of Jupiter being in Cancer will kind of like facilitate the alignment of our personal fulfillment and a lot more emotional and spiritual growth. And that's saying a lot because of like all the other transits we currently have right now, like especially with Saturn and Aries and all that Mars fiery energy. And I say Mars, the planet, specifically because it, like according to numerology as well, of the year 2025 is the planet with the most dominant energy. Anyways, I'll definitely expand on that in the new moon reading for Cancer season, specifically because I'll also go into like the energy of the next season that we're about to go into, as well as how that also ties in and plays in together with the dominant and general energy of the whole year. Anyways, I just want to close in with I guess a channeled guideline of what is the focal point and things I guess to be released by the specific modalities of the signs. So that would be the cardinal signs, fixed signs, and mutable signs. So the thing that came up for the cardinal signs, which would be, and this can be for any placement really, or whatever is most dominant to you within your entire chart, or specifically your sun sign, if that's what you feel most drawn to or able to relate most to. When it comes to looking at certain energy and what's for you, a lot of people tend to look at the most dominant modality in their chart. So cardinal signs would be Capricorn, Aries, Libra, and Cancer. And what's being prompted from cardinal signs is just taking control of the narrative, amplifying protection, and working on your root and crown chakras. What is being prompted for the fixed signs for this full moon in Sagittarius? Fixed signs would be Scorpio, Taurus, Aquarius, and Leo. And it's just tapping into, I guess, the emotional depths of what has been coming up ever since the last full moon in Scorpio. Because I know that ever since that release, things emotionally have been quite turbulent, especially for fixed sign dominant people, and see where that is holding you back within your, like, the themes that I previously addressed, like freedom and expression and expansion. For the mutable signs, which are Sagittarius, Pisces, Gemini, and Virgo, what is being prompted is releasing a sense of emotional attachment that has no longer been serving you. And I know this might seem like very cliche or basic, but this is specifically in regards to a connection. And I would especially highlight mutable Venuses here. It's you perhaps somehow questioning, what value does this connection somehow give me? Going back to the first initial, I guess the theme of this full moon, like what illusions do I still need to cut through? What am I not particularly seeing? What am I unnecessarily holding on to? This connection can really just be even a platonic or romantic connection, but it's just one that has had such an impact that you're still questioning what the impact was in order for you to properly release it. What lessons there were too. Because this full moon is in Sagittarius, it will be affecting mutable signs a lot more heavier. But I just think that collectively it's just really important to acknowledge that with the numerology of this full moon, it's just heavily amplifying, just like that personal power, the pinnacle of who you are, what you want, and the balance of the material world making sense. Something that can help so much with the release and actually feeling like you've energetically released these things is, because Sagittarius is a fire sign, writing everything in paper and burning it, and just really take note of how you feel afterwards. So I leave you with some affirmations that can assist with after all of this releasing. They are as follows. I am an unlimited being, accepting from an unlimited source in an unlimited way. Receiving abundance is my birthright. I am an abundant being. I honor the power that resides within me. I stand in my personal power with courage. I am my authentic self. I trust the flow of life and synchronicity. I am aligned for greatness. I am limitless. That's all. Happy full moon. Hi, my name is Tisiwanyeleti.